Welcome back to another installment of Mortgage with Tana. I am Tana, your host, and I today am going to be going over programs. Santana, what do you mean by programs? So, everybody thinks that there are only really two programs, and really there are tons of programs, but there are 5 major programs that we are going to go over really quickly today, and then I will do a deep dive later on into each of those programs. So of the 5 programs, you have conventional financing, FHA financing, which is government backed, VA financing, which is also government backed, or Veterans Affairs. You have jumbo financing for anything over our county loan limits. And then you also have USDA, and USDA is considered agricultural. So normally when you use that, they're always going to be in far, far areas. If you're in Phoenix, you might want to try Florence, Eloy, Buckeye, ding, ding, ding. Things like that is usually where USDA is done. But those are your 5 biggest programs, basically the umbrellas over everything else. So when you break it all down, you have little programs in each of those sectors, and there can be tons of programs in each of those sectors. But let's get started breaking down all of the programs I just mentioned. Let's go over the first program. Let's go over conventional financing. Conventional financing, about 10 months ago, everybody wanted conventional financing in that super seller's market. Here's why. So conventional financing normally require a higher FICO score. To get conventional financing, you have to have at least a 620 FICO score. And when I say FICO score, I mean we pull the 3, but the one that we go off of is the mid FICO score. So out of the 3, we take the average or the median of that. So when we say you need at least a 620, does that guarantee you'll be approved? No, not at all. But it gives you a fighting chance because that is the minimum FICO score that we need to go conventional. So with conventional financing, it's not necessarily the easiest, but it's the most flexible out there. So what I mean by that is that with conventional financing, you can be a first-time home buyer. You can own several homes already. You can buy a primary residence, meaning you are going to live in that home. You can buy a second home, meaning you're only going to live there, a couple of weeks out of the year, maybe a few months out of the year, vacation home basically. Or you can buy multiple investment homes. In those, every one of those homes or types that you're going to buy are going to have different down payment requirements. For conventional, most people think that you have to have 20% down. That is a lot of money, guys. 20% is a large chunk of change. The benefit to putting 20% down is that you don't have monthly mortgage insurance. I'll talk about monthly mortgage insurance another time. It's a whole nother ball of wax. But when you put down 20%, ultimately, you no longer have to worry about monthly mortgage insurance. But the truth is you can put down as little as 3% to go conventional. And then you can also put down 5, 7, 10, 15, whatever the case is, you can put down. But you don't always have to put down 20%. The other piece is that you're going to want to make sure that when you go conventional, it's very easy for sellers to like the conventional loan type. And that's because it has people who go there usually have a little bit more money in the bank. They have a little bit more of a credit score, better deal, things like that. But don't worry about exactly how much you have to have any of that because there are programs. There are down payment assistance programs that go conventional. Like I said, you can have a 620 FICO score, and one of the investors, Fannie Mae, if there are multiple people on the loan, they're actually starting to average the credit scores. So what I mean by that is, say I have, a 700 credit score, but my significant other only has a 600. They will take our 2 median scores, divide them by 2, and that will allow you to go conventional. So if you didn't know that, that's a great tool to have. If you have questions, we can definitely go over conventional financing more in depth in another video, or you can ask them or email me and I'll be able to help you. Next up, let's talk about FHA financing. So FHA, oh my gosh, all I've heard is that FHA is, bad and nobody will accept it. We are in a different market now. 10 months ago, you're right. Nobody was looking for FHA financing because FHA financing is government backed. So when your appraiser goes out there, they're looking for more things than what a conventional appraiser would be looking for because the government is requesting certain things for them to look at. But why is FHA a great program? Let me tell you. So with FHA, you are able to have a lower FICO score. There are two main FICO scores you need. The first one is 540. If you have a 540 FICO score, you're gonna wanna make sure you have at least 10% down. That's the downside of having the lower FICO score. You have to have at least 10% down, which is still a large chunk of change. But if you can increase that FICO score 40 points and get up to a 580, you no longer have to have 10% down. You only need 3.5% down. Much easier to swing. The other piece about FHA financing is that they allow you to get up to 6% in seller concessions. Guys, that's a lot of money. There are new builds out there that at least ask you for at least 3%, and I've seen it to where that borrower is only coming in with their minimum down payment, that 3.5%. The thing about FHA is that you're always gonna want it to be your primary residence. You will never be able to buy a second home going FHA. So you're gonna wanna make sure that when you do FHA financing, that you are buying a primary residence, you have at least a 580 FICO score, and that you're looking at everything under the sun. FHA doesn't discriminate against types of properties, and a lot of people think that they do. They think if they buy a condo or a townhouse or a manufactured home that they have to go conventional. You actually don't. You can do all of those things through FHA financing, and to be honest, with the high rates that we have going on right now, FHA financing is actually a little better to go with because it's much easier to refinance later down the line when these rates drop. So FHA financing, you're gonna wanna keep that in mind. You can get higher seller credit. You don't have to put down as much money. And the minimum down is a minimum of at least 3.5%, where with conventional, you have to have a certain program in order to get the 3%, or you have to have income limits at a certain area, or be a first-time home buyer to get that 3% down. Next up, VA financing, Veterans Affairs. So for all my veterans out there, and I have a lot of veterans in my family. My dad was a Marine. A lot of my family members were Marines. I have some Army, I have some Navy, I got some Air Force, I got it all. So I know a lot about veterans and what they need. Just so you guys know, you are very, very well taken care of. VA, or Veterans Affairs loans, are 100% financing. Now guys, does that mean I don't gotta come in with anything? No, that is not what that means. It actually means that the loan amount and your purchase price are actually going to match. So let's just say you're buying a $200,000 property. Ultimately, you don't have to come in with a down payment, 0 down payment. So your loan amount and your purchase price are going to match. That is 100% financing. You will still have to cover your own closing costs, or in this market, if the seller is willing to give you some seller credit, you can use that and come in with nothing. So with VA, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have at least some military experience. You're gonna wanna make sure that you've gotten at least a DD-214 if you are retired military or have been honorably discharged. You're also, if you are active military, great. We can still pull your certificate of eligibility and use that. But if you're active, there's gonna be a little bit more conditions that we're gonna need because you are stationed somewhere. So when you're buying that home and you're about to move, we can definitely do that. The thing about veterans or VA loans is that you are always going to want to buy your primary residence. VA does not allow for you to buy multiple residences or buy a second home outright. There are ways to get around that, ding, ding, ding. There's also something called bonus entitlement. So if you're a veteran out there who's already used your eligibility and you're like, oh, I don't have any more, I don't think I can, buy another home, I don't think I can do XYZ, talk to a lender. Because if you, for example, foreclosed, short sold, used up some of your VA entitlement, there is additional entitlement out there. It will just restrict some of that purchase price that you can go up to, but you can definitely buy again. So if you haven't talked to a lender, you're gonna wanna talk to a lender and see what they can do. Also, VA doesn't discriminate against types of homes. So you can buy a manufactured home, a condo, any type of home that you're looking for with VA. They do have a little bit more strict guidelines when it comes to appraisers going out there and things like that, but they fall in line a little bit with FHA. FHA and VA are very, very similar. The only big difference is that with VA, you get 100% financing. So if you're a veteran and you're waiting to buy a home or you think you won't be able to, reach out and see how we can help you get into that home because you are missing some fantastic benefits. So the last two programs I have, I'm actually going to combine them, okay? So the last two programs I have are a USDA loan and a jumbo loan. USDA is very, very picky. They are very much on the outskirts of town. So if you're using a USDA loan, chances are you're gonna live out in the boonies. And what I mean by that, if you're in Phoenix, you're probably gonna live in Florence, Eloy, Casa Grande, somewhere around there, maybe Santana Valley, definitely Buckeye. Those are gonna be the places, I think maybe parts of Whitman, but those are gonna be the places that are going to allow USDA financing. What's great about USDA financing? So with USDA financing, your minimum FICO score can actually be down to a 540. The other piece is that even though it's government backed, it's technically not a government program. It actually follows the lines of going conventional. So the other piece is that with USDA, it's 100% financing as well. So you do not have to put down a down payment with USDA financing. Do I recommend it? Yes, obviously. But it follows conventional guidelines. And with them, the other piece with USDA is that it also uses household income, not just the person who's on the loan. So if you have 18-year-olds who have, jobs and stuff like that, or a significant other or a grandparent or somebody else living with you and you're trying to do USDA, know that your loan officer and a lot of other, your processor, things like that are going to ask you for household information. We're gonna ask you for 4506Ts, which actually get IRS transcripts from the IRS directly in order to see who all is getting money in there. That is the one stipulation with USDA. You have to have a certain income limit and be in a certain area. So if you're trying to do USDA, you're gonna wanna reach out to your lender and see exactly if you qualify for it and how you can qualify for it. And remember, if you take away anything from that piece, that USDA is household income, not just the person on the loan. The last one that I am going to go over is jumbo financing. So jumbo financing, let me tell you guys, jumbo financing is a lot. If you guys have ever gone through a home loan and you think that your first home loan was super stressful, jumbo financing is really, really stressful. And it's because we are over the county limit. So our county limit in Arizona right now, or at least in Maricopa County, is $647,000 that you can have a loan amount on. That can be your loan amount, $647,000. So if you're buying $1 million property and you put down 20%, you're over those county loan limits and you have to go jumbo. With jumbo, they are asking for everything. And I mean that, everything. They're gonna wanna know what is going on in your accounts. They're gonna want at least a 660 FICO score because they are giving you a lot of money. You can use it on usually any type of property, but with jumbo financing, you are coming in with a minimum of at least 10% down, and that is only certain programs within this jumbo umbrella. Normally, you'd be coming in with at least 20% to go jumbo because it is such a high risk loan. That's why they ask you for everything under the sun, including your firstborn child, because it is a very risky loan and it is a lot of financed money and they're not backed by anybody. That's why. So if you guys have questions on any of the programs that I have discussed today, you are always more than welcome to like, subscribe, and ask any questions down in the comments below, or you're always able to email me and ask me any questions you have. So until next time on Mortgage Know with Tana, look at these programs, let me know what you have questions with, and have a great rest of your week.